If I could have everybody's attention. If we could have everybody's attention, we're going to go ahead and start the program now. I think everybody's been fed, and I hope you enjoyed it. Before we get started, I want to go back and reintroduce a man that I think we all are very proud of. Mr. Rasa, your 94 years and your service to this country and helping us tonight, let's give him a standing ovation. It's my pleasure tonight to be able to introduce a friend of mine who has been a friend of many of you in this room and a great friend of Nash County. I'm talking about the chairman of the Nash County Commissioners, Robbie Davis. But before I get Robbie to come up here, I want to introduce the power behind the throne. Where is Paige? Paige, where are you? She's back in the back. Paige, thank you for all you do. I think all of you know Robbie. He's a businessman, spends a great deal of time working for you and for this county. And when I was thinking about how to introduce him tonight, I first of all thought about what is he doing as chairman of the county commissioners. Well, the first thing he told me was, we work as a group. All of the county commissioners work together. And because of that, they've been able to accomplish a great deal. And some of it I wasn't even really aware of. So if you'll give me just a few seconds, I want to read off some of the things that your Nash County commissioners have done. They've done the new Miracle Park at Coopers, a countywide broadband, Northern Nash water system, the Rocky Mount Wilson Regional Airport repavement, courthouse, sheriff expansion, Middlesex Shell building, C&D land expansion. They've done all of these things with a budget of $96 million a year, and they have not increased your taxes in 10 years. Think about that. We're all proud of Robbie. He's done a great job. His cohorts on the county commissioners have been right there with him all the way. And I want to introduce tonight the chairman of the Nash County Commissioners, the first Republican chairman in the history of this county. Think about that. Let's have some applause. Without any further, Robbie Davis.
First question is, did everybody hear me? Yes. Okay, great. Anybody recognize the music that was playing during your dinner tonight? Tony?
Theme song, Forrest Gump.
All right. He wins the prize. The theme song from Forrest Gump. I'm surprised many of you in the room did not recognize that. My next question is, how many of you in the room know an elected official that has not had anyone ever say anything bad about him in this day and time? Now, you're talking about your wife. That doesn't count. That's the husband of our new county commissioner. She hadn't been around quite yet, long enough yet, maybe. I didn't see any hands go up except for a very newly elected one. So my next question is, how many of you in the room have ever heard anyone say anything bad about Dan Forrest, our lieutenant governor? I'm so thankful no one raised a hand, so I just proved everybody in the room wrong. I really thought about this before I brought this up, and I really have not heard anyone say anything about Lieutenant Governor in a negative way. I'm a general contractor by trade, as everyone knows. Dan is an architect. Generally, a general contractor and an architect do not get along at all. Don't think much of one another. But I'll tell you here tonight, I think a lot of Dan Forrest, and I really do. Dan has served as our Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina since January of 2013. Prior to becoming Lieutenant Governor, he received 2 degrees from the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. After college, Dan became a leader in the business community for over 20 years, has served as office president and senior partner of the state's largest architectural firm, Little Diversified Architectural Consultants. And I can tell you that's a very challenging job because I know he has to deal with contractors every day. A father of 4 children ranging from 13 to 25, and his wife Alice reside in Wake County. And I'm pleased to say that Alice is here with him tonight and will come up part of the way up here. She may come all the way up, I'm not sure about that. And if she wants to, that's fine. As Lieutenant Governor, Dan Forrest serves as the President of North Carolina Senate and serves as a voting member of the State Board of Education and the State Board of Community Colleges. On the State Board of Education, he is the chairman of a special committee dealing with digital technology, which is tasked with the implementation of the statewide digital technology plan, and I can't imagine what that would be like with the little bit of this that I deal with in my own business. It's got to be a monumental task. In addition, Dan is a member of the North Carolina Advisory Commission of Military Affairs, the Food Manufacturing Task Force, and serves as the chair of both the Energy Policy Council and the Board of Education Credentials. I think we all have learned very recently that he is also in Nash County. He is a member of the Council of States, which is a 10-member board, has 6 Republicans and 4 Democrats on it. At this time, I'm going to ask Dan if he will come on up, and I'm going to ask Mr. Gardner if he'll stay with me here just another moment. I'm going to say one more thing as the Lieutenant Governor comes forward. Jim, you ain't getting out quite that easy. The last thing I want to tell you about is you all heard very recently, just last week, that we were very successful, very pleased that we were able to land. Has one more little step to go through the General Assembly, but the DMV office moving to Rocky Mount to the old Hardee's campus. I can tell you, in my little bit of role in that this would have never happened without these 2 gentlemen standing here beside of me tonight on the stage. And I just want us to give a great big hand to both of them. And with that, I know y'all can go home and watch the commissioners meeting on TV tonight, so I'm going to sit down. Thank you, sir. Welcome to Nash County.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you, everybody. Can you hear me back there in the back? Is that good? Okay. I always want to make sure that happens. I did bring my, what I call my better 3/4 with me. So my wife Alice is here, and it's always great to have her with me when we travel around. It's great to be back in Nash County, and boy, what a great crowd you have here as well. So congratulations. You know, we always have to kind of keep in mind when we get together why we are doing what we do. And we saw in the last election in in the last off election that we had, that we saw the Democrats make a big surge in North Carolina. You know, we really had more Republicans show up than we had before, but we had a lot more Democrats show up. And so what we saw is them gaining ground in places they hadn't gained ground before, which really just puts us on notice that they have a game plan now. So going into 2020, as you would know and you would expect, the most important election in our lifetime is coming up in the year 2020. Now, you may laugh because I always used to do that as well. You know, everybody says, well, the next election is the most important election ever. It's never been more true than right now with this 2020 election coming up, and you all know that with the districting, the census, all those types of things that are going to be in play for 2020, the presidency, Senate seat, the governorship, Supreme Court, all these things. It's going to be absolutely critical that we maintain what we have, but actually grow it. So that really is why we're here. I'm going to do a little housekeeping before I get started here. One of the things I think that's important to know is we come here and we get together like this so that we can be organized. So that we can be organized. I guarantee you that the Democrats are going to be organized. And so we're here to be organized. My campaign is doing the exact same thing all over the state as counties are meeting in conventions to organize themselves. My campaign manager, Hal Weatherman, is out there organizing the state as well. So we are having 15 organizational meetings around the state, and we are going to have one here, let's see, on April the 16th. Let me get that right, I got my glasses. April the 16th at 7 o'clock, and in order to even be on the mailing list so that you get invited that, you need to go to danforest.com and sign up if you're interested in being part of that organizational meeting. danforest.com, go sign up. Why is that important? Because what we are doing as we're running for governor, what we are doing is we are organizing the state for everybody, for all candidates, not just for my race, but for everybody else's race as well. We're getting the party organized. We're giving them some really basic, simple tasks to do, so that when they get out there, we're all going to be marching to the same drumbeat around the state of North Carolina, and that, again, as you would expect, that rising tide will lift all ships. So you got it, danforest.com, go there and get signed up, and then we can actually march together. So again, thank you for being here. This is, many of you are the unsung heroes of the party. You do the thankless jobs. You go out there and you knock on doors. You get people registered to vote. You work precincts. You hold up cards for people. You yell out their names so that people know who to vote for. And those things are incredibly important to candidates like me. We couldn't do our job if it wasn't for people like you. And so then you have to ask, well, why do we do it? We do it because we want to win, because we think that being a Republican is good for this day and time that we live in. And I really believe that it is a great time to be a Republican. You know, if you're watching the national news, you may go, wow, that sounds kind of crazy. What are you talking about? Republicans are getting beat up on every end and every angle. I think it is a great time to be a Republican. And why would I say that? Well, you don't have to look very far today, right? You all know in this room, because you're Eastern North Carolina, you're more rural, that there are a lot of conservative Democrats in this area, aren't there? A lot of conservative Democrats. There's a lot of people that don't believe anything that the Democrat Party believes in today. And so when we're out there working, we can't ignore the Democrats, the conservative Democrats in North Carolina. We need to go after them. We need to tell them why they should believe like we believe, because they do. They do. They don't believe in socialism. But what do we have on the national landscape right now all over the country? Almost every single Democrat that is running for president right now is a socialist. Many of them are avowed socialists. There's only a few that aren't, and they even have socialist tendencies to them. Democrats in Nash County don't believe that. Right? We have people of all races here in Nash County that for years, maybe as Republicans, we've just assumed they're going to vote Democrat, but culturally they align with us. They don't believe what New York believes. They don't believe what New York cheered and held up and said was good in their state by providing late-term abortions up until the very last second before a child is born. The very last second in New York, they can kill a baby right before the child comes out. You don't believe that in Nash County. I don't see anybody's head shaking up and down saying, yeah, that's a good thing. Guess what? I would guarantee you there's almost nobody in this county that believes that. Go after those folks that culturally believe what we believe in the dignity of human life, if nothing else, right? Not just the life of the unborn, but the life of the disabled and the life of the elderly. We believe in these things. We believe that these things are good. Right? And then look at the policy front that's going on around the country right now. The Green New Deal. Anybody paid attention to this thing called the Green New Deal? Raise your hand if you even heard of this thing. Oh, good. So you're paying a little bit of attention. This thing that AOC, I always forget her name, Alexander, this thing that she created, the Green New Deal, $93 trillion price tag. There's absolutely no way America could afford to pay that. America and Russia and China all joining up together couldn't afford to pay for the Green New Deal, but they want to bring that to bear on America and say that every building, every house, every car has to be green. We have to get rid of airplanes. This is insanity, right? I mean, we all know this is crazy. Tell your neighbors about this. Tell your neighbors why the way that they think on the left does not align with what your neighbors believe. They need to know that. And so we have opportunities to go out there and talk about this. You know what else we have an opportunity to do? We have an opportunity to get rid of the hatred and political incivility, or just incivility. Just incivility that we see all over America today. I know you're tired of it. I'm tired of it. I mean, I'm tired of being called a bigot and a hater and a phobe of some kind for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And it's not true. We're not. Americans are good, fun-loving people that are going about their days trying to make ends meet, trying to put their kids through school, wanting their kids to have a better life than they have, and wanting to enjoy the time with their neighbors. You know, I guarantee you, if you sit down, especially any of you younger people, sit down with somebody a generation older and let them explain to you how times have changed in a very short period of time. Governor Gardner, I would assume that when you were lieutenant governor here, you could sit down with people of the opposite party and have a discussion and have a dialogue without people thinking you're a hater and all kinds of other names that come along with that. You could have some civil dialogue and discourse. And that's gone in America. We need to bring that back, because that's not what America is about, and certainly that's not what North Carolina is about. So we have a great opportunity to tell those conservative Democrats, to tell moderates, to tell people of all kinds of races and religions that culturally we believe like they believe, and we can do something to change that in America. And because ideas have consequences, we believe as Republicans that ideas have consequences, and bad ideas have victims. And Democrats' ideas often have victims. We see that with their strategy on life. We see that with their strategy on extreme environmentalism like the Green New Deal. And we've seen that here in North Carolina as well. Over the last 8 years under Republican control in North Carolina, we've seen unemployment go from literally one of the highest unemployment rates in the nation to one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation. We've seen our taxation go from one of the highest tax structures in America to one of the lowest tax structures in America. We have seen people being put back to work in record numbers in North Carolina, and record jobs being created at the pace of about 6,000 jobs a month. That's really incredible. We've seen under Republican control in our state investments in things like education. 6 years in a row, we've given teachers compensation increases. The media's not going to tell you that. You're not going to hear that story, but if you're a teacher in North Carolina, you're making more money today than you were when the Democrats were in control, when they froze teacher pay, when they froze the step bonuses, when they froze all those things, and we didn't. We lifted all those caps, and we started saying, you know what, we believe we're going to pour money back into the things that matter in this state. We've invested over $2 billion more into education in North Carolina. We have every single classroom in North Carolina connected to high-speed broadband now, initiative that I started in my office. The first state in America to connect every single classroom to high-speed broadband. Second most rural state, first in America to do that. And now we're starting a computer science initiative in our state to make sure that every high school student, every student in North Carolina, but specifically every high school student in our state has an opportunity to take a computer science class. We haven't had that before. And we're going to have that in a couple years. We're going to have every single student's going to have that opportunity so they can compete for the same jobs that students from other states and other countries can compete for. And we're going to lead the nation in that effort because of our connectivity. And then we've just created a financial literacy initiative as well. We're pushing through this General Assembly, something else we created in our office to say that every high school student before they graduate, it's mandatory that they take economics and financial literacy before they go on and take on student debt. So you can't just keep looking at the picture the same way and go, I hope things get better. I hope things get better, because they won't if you just say that. You have to do something about it. That's the track record we've had as Lieutenant Governor. It's a track record the General Assembly has had. I can't see far and wide enough to see if we have any members of the General Assembly here, but I'm sure that we do. Senator Horner's back there in the back. I wasn't going to mention you because that's probably bad. That's probably bad. It kills my reputation. I get to work with Senator Horner every day. Now, he's great when he's sober, but I'm just kidding, Senator. Listen, I have, as Lieutenant Governor, I have the honor to serve as President of the Senate. So I get to hear the debate every day. I get to listen to what's going on, and I get to work with some really great people. Some great people that really pour their heart and soul into their part-time jobs that they have up there, where they are, making $14,000 a year, but working full-time, leaving their businesses behind and leaving their families behind so that they can go serve you. So when you see those members of the House or members of the Senate, sometimes we look at them and go, why did you do this or why did you do that? But do me a favor and tell them thank you. Because the sacrifice that they make and the sacrifice that their family makes really is a great sacrifice to our state. And I can guarantee you there aren't many people that really want to do it. So make sure that when you see him, if there's Senator Horner back in the back, make sure you tell him thank you, and anybody else that may be here that serves that way as well. I think one of the things that we just have to remember as we go forward is that the government is not the social fabric of America. We've become that way in the last couple decades, where we look to the government for everything. We think the government has the means to solve all the problems in America, and it doesn't. In fact, it just can't. And in fact, the really scary part of that is, for the most part, it doesn't care about individuals and human beings. It cares about numbers. And so when we look at these ideas of socialism that we see on the left today, and we see the way America's sentiment is changing towards that, we know that capitalism, even with the flaws that it has, and it does have flaws, is still the best system in the world. It has still lifted more people out of poverty around the world than any other system, and it's still doing it every day. It's ending abject poverty around the world. Since 1970, we have seen abject poverty decrease 70% worldwide. Why? Because of capitalism lifting people up all over the world. We're seeing hunger go away around the world because of capitalism. We're seeing clean water being instituted around the world because of capitalism. These are things that are still good. We need to remember that. But the government is not the solution to all our problems. The government is about creating a solid, level, fair playing field for everybody so that they know the rules that they're playing by, so that they know they have an opportunity to do business here and around the world. When you see our president getting beat up over trade agreements, free trade, you know what? He's a free trade guy, but he's also a fair trade guy. I'll give you a quick example. I'm going to give you two quick examples because I had dinner with the president a couple weeks ago. Me and about 300 of my best friends. We had dinner with the president. I was at the Republican Governors Association, and the president spoke there. And a couple of things that really stuck with me, I want to share them with everybody because this is the kind of guy he is that the media will never paint. And so this is, whether you agree with everything he does or not, think about this. He's in negotiations with the King of Saudi Arabia about the military that we provide for Saudi Arabia. And all of you in this room know that we've been providing all of the military for Saudi Arabia for years. And he says, King, why is it this way? Why do we do it this way? And the king says, Mr. President, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, King, it's not fair. It's just not fair. Mr. President, what are you talking about? We provide all of your military. We've been doing it for decades, and you pay nothing. And you have trillions of dollars in cash. You're sitting on trillions of dollars in cash, and you pay nothing. And he said, Mr. President, why are you asking me that? Why are you saying this? And the president said, because it's not fair, King. And the king looks at him and says, well, we'll pay for it. And the reason is billions of dollars, one conversation, the king says he'll pay for it because nobody has ever asked before. The same thing happened with the premier of China. The president's not where he wants to be, but on trade, tariffs, for instance, he says, okay, Mr. Premier, why is it that when we send a car to China, you charge us 40% a tax? When you send a car to America, we charge you effectively zero. It's a couple percent, but it's effectively zero. Why is that? And then on top of that, we give you $586 billion a year in cash. Why do we do that? And the same thing happened. It's because nobody's ever asked before. He went from 40% to 15% in one conversation. That was as far as they got that day, but they went from 40 to 15. I mean, this is a big deal, right? This is a really big deal for America, that we actually have a leader that gets it, that's looking out for the interests of America. That's what we need in a governor for North Carolina. We need a governor in North Carolina that looks out for the interests of our farmers, not for when we have hog farmers that are struggling to make ends meet anyway, and then we have trial lawyers come into our state from Texas and say, you know what, we're going to sue a hog farmer because he's backed by some wealthy corporation called Smithfield Foods. And even though that hog farmer has never done anything wrong, they didn't break any laws, they didn't break any rules, they didn't have any violations, nobody had ever come to them and complained before, but a trial lawyer comes into town, gins up about 200 or 300 or 400 plaintiffs and goes and sues that hog farmer, and then has punitive damages of about $500 million thrown in on top of that. And guess what? Our governor sided with the trial lawyers. That's just un-American. I don't care how you look at it, that's un-American. That's just not right. Agriculture is our number one industry. Many of you are probably somewhere connected to the agriculture industry in our state. And we need a governor that protects our farmers. He's going to stand up for them, especially when they aren't doing anything wrong. We need a governor who stands up for law enforcement. We have a number of law enforcement officers here with us in this room, and they're all coming to me going, man, I can't wait for you to run because we need a governor that's going to protect us and stand up for what is right for law enforcement. And we need a governor that's going to stand up for the military and fight for the military to protect the military as well. We have a great military presence in North Carolina, great military presence in North Carolina. And, when right after the governor got elected, his chief strategy guy named Ken Udy, who I know pretty well, Ken Udy actually said, I'm not going to stand for the national anthem either. He said, why would I stand for the military? He said, I'll stand for teachers. Why don't we have teachers? I said, well, these things are not even associated. We're standing up for teachers in North Carolina too, but when that flag is strewn, the national anthem is playing, and we're all feeling patriotic, stand up and thank the men and women who fight and die and have fought and died for hundreds of years in this country to make America great. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things at stake in this election. There really are. And listen, I'm excited. I'm excited to be in the fight. Lieutenant Governor Gardner, you've been there before. You know what this game is like. And Robbie started off by saying, have you ever heard anybody say anything bad about Dan Forrest? Well, if you haven't been on my Facebook page. Because there's plenty of people saying stuff bad about me, but just wait. Because when this campaign really gets kicked up, people are going to be saying horrible things about me. I don't even know if I'm going to vote for me in the end. But we need your help because it's going to be a tough campaign. This is going to be probably a $30 million per campaign effort in North Carolina. That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous amount of money, but that's what it takes nowadays. And we have things at stake, as I mentioned. Don't forget Justice Newby, who is holding down the only last bastion of conservatism in the Supreme Court right now in Raleigh. We have one conservative Supreme Court justice in North Carolina. We're going to have 3 up for election. We can make up massive ground in 2020 if you all pay attention to the court races that are out there. Do not forget to do that. Pay attention to the court races. Make sure that you are getting your local folks elected. Don't ignore the local elections just because we have national elections going on. There are so many things at stake here, and I want to make sure that we do our part. As we're running, we do our part to support you. So I really do want you to make sure that you all go out to danforrest.com, sign up so that we can help you help your local candidates, and help those national candidates get elected as well. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for being kind of the grassroots and heart and soul of Nash County here for Republicanism, and we look forward to serving you in the future. God bless you all. Thank you.
Let's give our great Lieutenant Governor, next Governor of North Carolina, another big round of applause. We have a number I'd like to recognize. When I call your name, if you'll just stand up so everybody can see you. We've got Frank Perry, who's former Secretary of Public Safety. Frank, where are you?
He just walked out.
He just walked out. Wait till I see him the next time. Senator Rick Horner, you've been mentioned. Where are you, Rick? Back in the back. Trey Lewis with Senator Tillis's office. Trey, where are you? Trey must have left also. One man I know hasn't left, I hope, is Sheriff Keith Stone. Sheriff, where are you? The best sheriff in North Carolina. Sheriff, I don't know if you heard that, but I said the best sheriff in North Carolina. Let me change that, the best sheriff in the country. Our county commissioners, Robbie Davis, Wayne Outlaw, Dan Cohn, and Sue Leggett, if you would all stand. And thank you for the great job you're doing. Rocky Mount City Council, W.B. Bullock, I saw somewhere. W.B.? A new Nash School Board member, Dean Edwards. Dean, where are you? Thank you, Dean. Have I missed anybody, any elected official? If so,
Richard Joyner. Richard Joyner had to leave.
Richard left. You're not going to get by just sitting over there behind that mustache. Stand on up. Oh, it's not so bad being a former, believe me. And we've got several candidates running for office who are going to speak briefly tonight. And I'll just call your name and ask you to come up. We might get all of you up here at the same time so you can see who they are. Running for City of Rocky Mount Mayor Sandy Robinson. Sandy. Sandy's got you.
Snuck up on
You snuck up on
Gail. It's Sandy's birthday too, I understand.
Sandy's birthday's today.
That's what I understand. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I thought that's what this was about.
A few friends gathered. Where's Lige Daughtridge? He's running for city council. Come on up, Lige. We won't sing happy birthday tonight to Sandy. We'll wish him a happy birthday and let him have a few minutes to tell us why he's running for mayor of Rocky Mount.
Well, guys, thank you very much. My name is Sandy Robertson, as you now know. I am a native of Rocky Mount, and I'm a candidate for mayor of our great city. You know, our race is not about race. It's not about housing. It's not about crime. It's about leadership. And I believe that with the right leadership, we can create jobs, we can create jobs, we can create jobs, and we can move our median household income up to where it needs to be. I believe that transparency is a key component to a successful administration. And I would like to seek your vote on October 8th, 2019. Thank you. Oh, and I understand here, everybody here is not from Rocky Mount. I need to extend you an invitation to move. At least until the 9th.
Elijah Daughtridge is running for city council, and do we need some help down there? Elijah?
Good evening. My name's Elijah Daughtridge, and I'm running for Ward 5 for the Rocky Mount City Council. I'm a native of Rocky Mount. Moved away briefly for college while I was an urban studies major. Came back and took over the family business, and former chairman of the Rocky Mount Chamber of Commerce. I helped lead this little small thing called Reach Out Rocky Mount, where we were able to raise over $2 million for some of the local nonprofits. I say that because I think that proves some of the leadership skills that I do have and that I would like to bring to the Rocky Mount City Council. One thing that was mentioned earlier that Sandy mentioned that we desperately need at the Rocky Mount City Council is transparency. Transparency is vital to the public trust. Without the transparency, I think you don't have the public trust that we so desperately need. That goes from the meetings, both for the city council meetings and the committee of the whole, as well as the information that is our information, the people's information that they're going to discuss. That's all part of the transparency. Infrastructure. Many of you may know my name tied to the fight against the Rocky Mount Event Center. We put up a good fight. We lost that, and now I'm one of the biggest advocates for the Rocky Mount Event Center, and you should be too if you're a citizen of Rocky Mount or do business in Rocky Mount or a taxpayer. So we need to do everything we can possibly do to make the event center successful. But one thing that I think is going to pair in comparison to the event center is our infrastructure, our water and our sewer. We forget about those, we don't see them, and it's going to cost a lot of money. We spent over $179,000 for Jacobs Engineering to come in and do a study for our infrastructure. It has not been completed. We need to complete that study. Because without the infrastructure, there's no jobs. Because the industry that we have, they need that water, they need that sewer. So we're going to have to spend money to keep that where we need it and to do what needs to be done, as well as streets. Those of you who live in Rocky Mount, if you go for a walk, go for a run on your streets, if they're anything like the ones that I walk on, they need repair. Or if you ride down, they need repair. We have over 248 miles of streets in Rocky Mount. And lastly, one thing that I want to mention is our budget and our taxes. The tax rate that we have is a balancing act from properly funding our government to the services that we need. And with that, we need a tax rate that can support that, but we also need to control our spending. We don't always need to increase our spending because we need something. We might want to look at some things that we need to cut. Not all cuts are bad, but we do need to spend money on our infrastructure. I want to emphasize this is a nonpartisan race. This is Republican, Democrats, Independents, and Libertarians. So you're going to see me all across this community, and I've had the opportunity so far to meet a lot of people that I normally wouldn't speak with. And one thing that I find in common that we all have is we want a wonderful place to live, work, and play in Rocky Mount. So reach out to people that you normally don't talk to. Please mention my name, Elijah Daughtridge, Ward 5, which is right now represented by Tom Rogers. He's not running again, and currently I'm running unopposed, but I doubt that will remain. I'm asking for your vote on October the 8th, which is different. It's the municipal election, and would appreciate your support, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lodge. We have two other people who might be here tonight who are running for statewide office. Sammy Webb running for North Carolina Auditor. Is Sammy here? Yep.
Good evening. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. The reason why I decided to run for state auditor is not about the position of auditor. It's about, I believe, that the Republican Party has the best policies for the citizens of the state of North Carolina. And I say that because as a lawyer for 20 years, I can look at the evidence and tell people that. And I can tell them that based on the evidence and the record. And some say, what are you talking about? Well, when I talk to everyday people, and I said, what you gotta understand is that who did that for you is the question. We have in Halifax County, where I'm from, our third charter school. We have Hardgood Academy now that just became a charter school. Now, our charter schools are filled to capacity. Our public schools are losing students. And I say to those parents, we did that, the Republicans did that for you. We also have the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarships, where kids can go to these schools, low income, they can get a check from the state and go to a private school, and I tell them, we, the Republicans, did that for you. Also, we have NC Promise. You can go to UNC Pembroke, you can go to Elizabeth City State University, Western Carolina University for $500 a semester if you're low income. We, the Republicans, did that for you. There are so many things that Republicans did for these citizens that most people don't even know. The expungement laws change. Now you can get many during a lifetime for dismissals. People can be productive citizens based on the changing of the expungement laws. Who raised the age for criminals? Used to be 16, now it's 18. The Republicans did that for you. And when you look to taxes, 5 years now, we're gonna have a revenue surplus, so your taxes won't go up. The Republicans did that for you. So the message is not just me being state auditor 2020. I want to be part of the winning team in 2020. I ask you to support Sammy D. Webb, State Auditor 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is Deborah Cochran here, who's running for Lieutenant Governor? Well, just remember the name. We have a Republican running to replace our good Republican Lieutenant Governor now. I want to turn the program over now to our county chairman, and I'd like just to say a few words, if I could, about the great job that Mark has done. Things like this just don't happen. I can remember when we would have a Republican convention, and if we were lucky, we'd have 50 or 60 people. Tonight, we have 300 plus people, and it happened because of leadership. And Mark Edwards has been a great leader for our party in this area. Mark, thank you. Continue the good job. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Governor Gardner. Well, I do not take any credit for the work tonight, and which leads me into the first thing that I have to do, which is to present the Fay Eagles Volunteer of the Year Award. For many of you that have come to these conventions before, you've seen us give these out every year. The Fay Eagles Volunteer of the Year Award is given in honor of Dr. Fay Eagles, who was a respected professional in the Rocky Mount community and served the Republican Party at the local level, but at the state and the national levels as well. She went to the state convention as a delegate, and she also went to the national convention as an alternate and actually gave a seconding nomination speech for President George Bush. She was very instrumental in the development and the growth of the Nash County Republican Party, coming after the growth that came when Lieutenant Governor Jim Gardner helped get the Republicans going back in the 60s. She helped in the 80s grow the party. And if you've heard this presentation before, you've heard her adage that she had to say sometimes, which is, sometimes the best man for a job is a woman. But the adage that comes to my mind when I think of the person who's getting the award tonight is if you want to get something done, ask somebody who's busy. This year's recipient is very active in his church. He not only attends, but he serves in leadership roles at his church. He's a devoted husband, father, and grandfather, and has taken up the call to duty to serve his family, even when circumstances have required more than normal attention to his family's needs. As far as serving the community, His accomplishments and activities are, of course, too numerous to mention here, but I'll say that he has risen in the leadership of his local civic organization all the way to serve as the national president of his organization. Even when he earned some time for peace and quiet, when retirement came, he stepped forward to serve in public office as a county commissioner when the commissioner in his district passed away. Since his selection to serve in District 5 on our County Board of Commissioners, he has run very successful campaigns, sometimes opposed and sometimes unopposed. If you look at the back of your program, you'll see that our elected Republicans in Nash County automatically serve on our executive committee. And while you would think with all of their many and various responsibilities as elected officials, our county commissioners would let others handle the duty of the executive committee, but that's not the case with all 4 of the county commissioners on our executive committee, and especially tonight's recipient. He attends every monthly meeting for our executive committee, and come election time, whether he's on the ballot or not, he spends hours distributing Republican signs in his district and volunteers to work at the polls not only on election day, but during those long hours during early voting. And just one example of his service to the Republican Party this year, when we approached election day, last fall, we were struggling to get volunteers to serve at the polls on election day. There's 24 sites from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And our recipient, who's getting the award tonight, stepped up and organized completely his precinct and several others on his own. And if you want to know his dedication to the Nash County Republican Party, all you have to do is look around at tonight's convention. He headed up the organizing committee, worked the ticket sales, and planned every detail that you see here tonight. And so he deserves all the thanks for that. So it's my honor to present this year Fay Eagles Volunteer of the Year Award to Wayne Outlaw.
Well, I'm seldom at a loss for words, but just let me say that I don't feel worthy of this. I'm pleased that the people that I work with feel that I'm worthy of this. I do what I do not for personal recognition, but I do it for the cause of conservatism. If you listen to the Lieutenant Governor tonight, you know the challenge that we've got before us. And I just challenge you all tonight, don't walk away from this place and forget the job at hand. Work hard, get good conservatives in place, and our country will continue to progress. And I thank you very much for this honor.
Paige Davis is the chair of our Credentials Committee. So I guess we need the credentials report. And also, Robbie, if you'll come forward to do the nominating committee as well. Who? Oh, you have it. Okay. All right. I'll recognize Peggy Winstead, who's going to come forward with the credentials report. Just read it out.
Okay.
Just say tonight we have.
Tonight, we have 130 Republicans and 91 guests for a total of 221 attendees tonight.
Thank you. And we thank the Credentials Committee. Hopefully, we have to go through the credentialing process because, as you'll see in a minute, we will send delegates to the state convention, and in order for us to send delegates to the state convention, we have to properly credential all the Republicans that are here. You'll see on the right-hand side of your program the convention rules. Those come from the executive committee, so they do not need a second. Is there any discussion on passing these rules? If none, if you're in favor of passing these rules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? They are passed. We also will adopt our plan of organization, which is our bylaws that we operate under. We are operating under we are proposing operating under the exact same plan of organization that we have operated under as before, with the exception of adding, we're going to increase the number of our executive committee to up to 20. So, and I have copies of the plan if after the meeting you would like to see a copy, or if you'd like to see a copy now. But with that, this comes from the executive committee. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the plan of organization? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Y'all are doing great. All right. I'll turn it over now to our chairman of our nominating committee, Robbie Davis.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. Didn't quite realize I was supposed to do this, but I guess as chairman of the nominating committee, I should have known that. You've got it in your program, and if everyone's okay with it, if you're opening to that page, I'm not going to read each and every name on here, but we have several groups of people that serve on the executive committee. And in Nash County, anything that you see that the GOP does, this is the group that is in charge of it, puts it together. And the first group are the officers. There are 4 of those. A chair, which is Mark Edwards, who I'm pleased to say has agreed to serve for another term. Bruce Harris, our vice chair. Peggy Winston has stepped forward and agreed to be our secretary for the next year. And Peggy, I want to thank you for that. And Judy Knox has been our treasurer for a number of years, and she has agreed to continue doing that. The secretary and the treasurer job are tough jobs, I'll tell you. Well, I better not say too much because Peggy just started very recently here. But the amount of paperwork that Judy has to do, because every dollar that comes into this organization, we have to count for it and we have to tell where it came from. And she is very diligent and make sure she knows where every dollar came from. I know us men who don't do a very good job of keeping our paperwork right when we hand in all these tickets. She will be fighting us for the next 2 or 3 weeks, but I think we've all tried to do a lot better tonight, Judy, and I appreciate what you've done. We have at-large members, and currently there are 14 of those that's on this list that you can look at. There is a new one that has not served before, Brenda Stallings from the southern part of the county. Brenda, we are pleased that you have stepped forward. We are looking for more people in the outlying areas of the county to serve on this organization. As Mr. Edwards, or Chairman Edwards said, we have approved 20 slots. We have currently 14 of those filled. If anyone is here tonight that wishes to join this organization, that doesn't mind working, we need workers. I'd love to hear from you. My number is on the web page for the county. It's on my Facebook page advertising this event. Call me, and I would be glad to talk to anyone about serving. You must be, of course, a registered Republican. We can put you on basically at any time after a 2-meeting process. We're going to nominate these tonight and elect those tonight. And then in addition to the at-large, we have any Republican that is elected to an office from Nash County automatically serves on this executive committee. And as Mark said, we are fortunate that these elected officials are the type that do not mind putting together events like this. And again, I want to thank Commissioner Outlaw for the job he did here tonight. When those that know Commissioner Outlaw in District 5 know when you give him something to do, it's going to be done right, it's going to be kept up with, and if you're not keeping up with him, he's going to call you constantly, email you constantly, and want to know why you're where you are and not where you're supposed to be, and that's the way I have to be operated with, quite frankly, and I appreciate Commissioner Outlaw. In addition to that, we have 2 ex officio members that serve on our Nash County Board of Elections, and they are the same. I'm glad to say that those two, Kevin Lewis and Paige Wood, who do an outstanding job on our Board of Elections, and I don't know, they haven't known for the last year whether they're on the Board of Elections, whether we got a Board of Elections, or when we'll have one next. So, Chairman Lewis, I appreciate your time serving on that and continue to serve. It's been a tough job. Chairman Edwards, that is my report from the nominating committee, and I'll let you handle the adoption of that, sir. Thank you.
All right. Are there any nominations from the floor? If not, all those in favor of approving those that are not recommended by the nominating committee, say aye. Any opposed? All right. If Wyatt McGee will make his way up here, the next thing the Republican Party has coming up is we have a district convention for the second district, right? We keep changing congressional district, but we're in the second district with George Holding, and we're fortunate enough to have the vice chair of our second district, Darrell Mitchell, who's down here, Nash County native. Thanks for coming, Darrell. We don't have a date set yet for our convention, but sometime in April there will be a district convention. And the bigger thing is we will have a state convention of the North Carolina Republican Party. And if you have an interest in attending that, you should attend as a delegate from Nash County, and that'll give you the right to vote in the North Carolina Republican Convention as a delegate from Nash County. So I'm getting ready to get a list from the room of who wants to attend that. But before I do that, I'm going to recognize Wyatt McGee, who serves on one of our committees for that convention, for him to explain part of what's going on.
Thank you, Mark. I didn't expect this many people to still be here, but I appreciate your patience with us. As Mark indicated, I'm currently serving on the North Carolina Republican Party Platform Committee, and at our state convention in June, we'll be looking at that, and we're proposing a few changes. So I just wanted to educate you a little bit about that. The platform is a document, it's about 7 pages, that identifies and establishes the values of our party. We have an excellent platform. I am completely proud to be a Republican after reading our platform. If anybody wants to take a look at it after the meeting, I've got a copy. I'd be glad to share that with you. Our platform addresses 10 areas. I won't go into that specifically, but I did want to mention that there are a few things that we're looking at tweaking it. Like I said, we've got a great platform, but we're looking at making a few little changes, and I just wanted to bring a few of these to your attention. One of them is confirming our support and appreciation for our military veterans, affirming our support for North Carolina's community colleges, and applauding our Republican-led General Assembly for providing the funding necessary for us to have quality education at all levels in our state. Clarifying that the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of our land, denouncing attempts by foreign governments to interfere in our electoral process, denouncing governmental efforts to promote infanticide, promoting Israel as a sovereign nation with Jerusalem as its capital, and affirming capitalism instead of socialism as the economic system of our country. Those are some of the things we're going to be bringing forward at the convention in June. If anybody has any thoughts on any of those things, feel free to let me know. Like I say, I'm very proud of our party's platform. I encourage you to take a look at it. You can see it at the North Carolina Republican Party website, which is www.nc.gop. And like I say, we have a great platform. If you're not sure about whether or not you think being a Republican is a good idea, take a look at our platform, take a look at the other party's platform, and you will definitely be a Republican. Thank you very much.
All right, and so I didn't mention that the dates of the state convention is June 6th to 9th. It's going to be in Concord, North Carolina. And in addition to the business that the Republican Party conducts, if you enjoyed hearing from Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest tonight, you'll have many great speakers who speak during that event. So you'll have 4 or 5 opportunities to hear speakers of that caliber while you're there. Right now what we need to do is elect members from Nash County to attend, delegates. And of course, I would like to go. So I'm on the list. Lisa Barnes and her husband Johnny, they are not able to be here tonight. They asked to be on the list. So that's 3. I'm going to believe Mr. Davis and Paige Davis have said they would like, Robbie Davis and Paige Davis would like to, so they're on the list. So I'm going to start over here, and if you would like to go, raise your hand. I need to take your name down, and we'll do this, and as soon as we get through, then we'll vote. So I've got Kevin Lewis, who's on our Board of Elections, who would like to go, and Rick Horner, our senator. All right, anybody over here? Yes, Sue Leggett. Anybody else? Anybody on this row? Anybody on this row? We got Wayne Outlaw. Sharon Outlaw. Anybody over here in this row? Anybody here? Here? I got John Check and Angela Height. Anybody else? And just for our executive committee, and Wyatt McGee, I guess we'll let you vote on your own platform. Anybody else? All right, and is there, from our executive committee members, was there anybody who is not present tonight that expressed to you wanting to be on this list? The only one I knew of was Lisa and Johnny Barnes. All right, last call. All right, so the motion on the floor is to elect Mark Edwards, Robbie Davis, Paige Davis, Lisa Barnes, Johnny Barnes, Kevin Lewis, Rick Horner, Sue Leggett, Wayne Outlaw, Sharon Outlaw, John Check, Angela Height, and Wyatt McGee to serve as delegates to the second District Convention and the North Carolina Republican Convention. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Unfortunately, Richard Joyner, who I think many of you all saw, who serves on our Rocky Mount City Council, was going to be giving the benediction. I'm going to ask W.B. Bullock to come in his stead, another one of our Rocky Mount City councilmen. But unfortunately, as you know, Richard Joyner, in addition to being a minister in Canada, serving on the Rocky Mount City Council, was also the chaplain at the hospital and got called to the hospital in an emergency situation. So we appreciate him being here, and unfortunately, he's not here to give the benediction. Fortunately, we have WB. I'll call him, and even though it has the adjournment after this, unless there's an objection, after the prayer is said, we will be adjourned. There'll be no further business after that. So if you'll stand for the benediction, I'll call Mr. Bullock forward.
I don't remember very much scripture, but I remember one, and if you're an elected person, you better remember it. Be ye also ready, for ye know not the moment to be called on to do something. So, thank you all for being here this evening. It's been a wonderful evening, and lots of fine folks here and comments. So, thank you. So now let's go to the Lord in prayer. Lord, we thank you for each individual that has been here this evening, is here and offering something for this party and for our community. Another scripture that we all remember, God of our fathers, whose almighty hand leads forth in duty throughout our great land. We thank you for those leaders that we have had and that we now have and that we will continue to have in the future. We thank you for the work that will be done as we go forth. We are working for a great cause. We work for a great county, great cities, state, and nation, and all over the world. So give us the guidance, the leadership, and the attitudes and love and care and respect for one another. Again, we thank you for all these people who have been here this evening and for this wonderful time together. We thank you for this time together where we can talk about the things that we need to do to strengthen our party and our cities and towns and communities. So we now ask you to give us safe travel, each one safe travel to their homes, and keep us safe. God bless our community. God bless America. Amen.